Reclaiming Black Wild Girl. From Black Girlhood to Black Womanhood. August 18th, 2019. Journal entry. I'm writing while watching Hallmark movies with plots I already know. Generally cute white boys and white girls fall in love with each other with a final kiss at the very last minute of the show. I know the end. But as a hopeless and sometimes hapless romantic, I am hooked. I am also reading articles about autoethnography, critical autoethnography, Black feminist autoethnography, critical feminist autoethnography, ethics of autoethnography, Black girlhood cartography, Black girlhood, the Wild Womanist archetype, and womanist theology. I pause to write this introduction. It's connected to the book, but not yet sure how it fits. I paused to reflect on just 2 days ago, I was in despair. I didn't think I could write this book about my life. I was tired of fighting invisible ghosts of racism, sexism, and hatred. I was tired of the energy of those who are jealous, of those who are dismissive, and of those who make me question everything. 2 days ago, I was in tears. I cried and cried and cried myself to sleep. I called upon the God I believe in to rescue me, to save me from what I don't even know what, then or now. Maybe it was just the sinking feeling of my constant struggle. My pace is puffy from crying, my pillow a mess. I'm regressing to childhood and wishing for the little black bear that was my constant companion. I'm inconsolable. I wake in the morning, surprised I fell asleep. I call my husband, Obadiah, who lives in the Bahamas, thinking, I'm okay, and we will have a mediocre conversation. Obadiah, hi, how are you? Me, good, good. What's happening today? Obadiah, beach, house, garden. He has a routine, a life there. To my horror or embarrassment, my voice starts to shake. And the yesterday that I thought was past is still present. And I'm sad. My voice belies my feeble attempt at the joy of the morning our faith calls us to have. But then my husband reminds me that I can't give up, that many are relying on me, that God is preparing me for a bigger stage and a bigger battle, and that when we are blazing trails, we get burned. But like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, God is with me in the fire, and I will not be injured. He tells me I'm in a boxing match, and I must tighten my gloves, hold my hands in front of my face, and get back in the fight. He reminds me of Maya, Harriet, and Sojourner, and says that I can't let these demons of the isms run or ruin my mind. I'm encouraged when we hang up. Lately, he's been on point. Marriage is so complicated. Sometimes he is on point, and sometimes he doesn't even know the path to the point. But today, he is on point. I feel like I can go on. In the words of the old Negro spiritual, I feel like going on. I feel like going on. Though trials come on every mountain, I feel like going on. I go to the piano whose ivories I haven't tickled or touched in a while. I play the Moonlight Sonata, the first movement by Beethoven. I am calming down. I send a message to a friend and tell her my sadness and my husband's boxing analogy. She goes with it, and she tells me that even those big men sit on little stools in the corner and get a break, and that they get inspired and cleaned up and encouraged. And I say, yes, yes, in the text. I know I have to go back into the ring. I look at the outline for this book. It's rough. I'm struggling to write about my life. For our lives are not singular lives, but rather intertwined with others, and our stories are part of their stories, and their stories part of ours. In telling intertwined stories, I've been experiencing an internal battle about what to share, what to reveal, and what to allow to remain hidden. My brother reminds me that sanitizing protects no one, and that something has to explain how we got to where we are in the world. I've been asking myself questions. What do I say? What do I omit? How do I not harm? How can I be authentic and honest? What will people think? What do I share about myself? How much of myself do I share? Do I actually share how much I weigh and that I've been fighting my weight for decades? Not quite willing or able to accept that perhaps this is where it is and what it will be. Do I share my financial struggles of always worrying about money, of never having enough, of living paycheck to paycheck, of being a primary breadwinner, sole breadwinner, and of living with credit card debt with interest rate at 27%? Do I share about all the times I wrote to my supervisors begging them to pay me what I knew others were paid with less education, less time in the office than me? Do I write about the times I've cried and cried from the racism and sexism and meanness of the world? Do I share the emotional, spiritual, and psychic struggle to find God, to know Jesus, to understand that God isn't a white man, but an energy in the universe for good? What do people get to know about me? Is that the right lens? Why should I care? But I do. What do I share about others? What about Obadiah, my husband? At first, I thought I would protect him. The world, with all its stereotypes, didn't need to see him as another statistic conforming to stereotypes about Black men. And then one night in bed, he quietly asks me what my book is about. And I tell him it's about my journey to become one with the little Black girl of my childhood that I placed in a backpack and zipped up. The tears just come. I didn't expect them. My back is to him in the bed. I don't want him to know I'm crying. We keep talking and my tears don't hold their secret. It comes out of my voice. He feels it. He hears it. He tells me it's okay. He asks me if I write about him. I tell him, not really. I didn't want to, you know. My voice falters. I don't have the words. I become silent. He knows this pattern. It happens with tough conversations between us. First the tears, then the long pauses between words and phrases, and then the silence. He holds me and tells me again, it is okay. He tells me I don't have to protect him. He tells me that the little girl cannot fly and put on her wings if I don't talk about what she has experienced. He says I can talk about his addiction and incarceration. He knows his own journey. He knows how far he has come. But he tells me he knows that I need to write about it to heal. I cry more now in gratitude. The questions continue. What do I share about my parents? I had written about my mother and her amazing journey from sharecropping and picking cotton to becoming a full professor in the academy. I don't want to write anything that undermines her and her journey. And my father, what do I share about him? He is the most influential man in my life. He is the reason for my success and my sorrow. Our journeys are intertwined and almost inseparable. I look back at my notes. There are snippets of quotes from theories about autoethnographies. I want to do what I'm trained to do and socialized to do. Quote, be in conversation with your peers. Show how your work fits in with the ongoing discourse. Read the ongoing discourse. What's the little niche that you can fit in to show you belong in the conversation with those big, powerful other scholars? I wonder if I can make my research project fit into the formula. Can I fit in? And then the reality hits me hard, like an arrow into my heart. I don't think I fit in. I swallow hard as I write that. I've been trying for weeks to fit myself into this ongoing discourse. I'm trying to conform to contribute in scholarly ways to force myself to fit, realizing I have never fit in anywhere. And yet I'm still trying. And so this work is a Black Wild Womanist Autoethnography. It's about the search for the Black Wild Woman, to find her within, to love her fiercely, and to show her to the world. No longer timid, silent, afraid, and invisible, but with a new boldness, fearlessness, and fierceness. From Black Girlhood to Black Womanhood, a Wild Womanist Journey, is the 6-stage initiation story of a young Black girl, maybe 4 or 5 years old, who was apparently showing up and showing out at one point in time. A Black girl who, while acting womanish and sassy, angered her father. He shouted at her, "Who do you think you are?" With tears running down her face, the little girl said, "Queen of Sheba." Seemingly out of the wild, out of nowhere, a little Black girl claimed to be the Queen of Sheba, the queen of an ancient African community who visited King Solomon in the Bible. This little girl, Black Wild Girl, knew the deep secret of her soul and claimed it, spoke it, and owned it. And because the world is never ready for Black Wild Girls, she is silenced, for she has shared her secret too soon. She will become a victim of a bargain made without her knowledge by her father. She will be dismembered and dethroned, placed in a backpack, zipped up and rendered invisible, marginalized, and broken. Yet because Black Wild Girls can never fully be silenced, Black women undertake underground initiation journeys to find their Black Wild Girls and to reclaim their Queen of Sheba-ness and their defined feminine. Our journeys require us to dig and descend deep into the soul and soil of life's garden. Ultimately, we find and unite with Black Wild Girl, emerging triumphantly to claim our revolutionary role. I am the little girl who claimed to be Queen of Sheba. I am the little girl whose Black Wild Girl was silenced and placed in a backpack and zipped up. And I am the woman, Black Wild Woman, who went on a 45-year search for Black Wild Girl, and ultimately finding, loving, and reuniting with her. Through 45 years of journals, my life unfolds as a journey from Black girlhood to Black wildhood, beginning at the age of 8. As I wrote in my journal on December 11th, 2017, the beauty and pain of journals is the absolute bearing of the soul, raw, unconstrained, unfiltered, naked, vulnerable to the world. These journals, they reveal defining moments, decisions made by others, decisions made by me, and experiences created by the universe that set my life upon a particular path. My life is many roads less traveled because as a Black woman in America, we weren't meant to travel most roads. The roads were never made for us to be upon, so we had to take the unmarked road, the back road, the hidden trail, the underground railroad that wasn't even a railroad. For me, these routes and paths symbolize initiation points of transformation and transcendence. This book is a story about a search for self and spirit, the wild woman, the divine feminine, wisdom, love, and God. It is a telling of an initiation. It is a search for my Black womanhood and its universal connection to all humankind. It is also about how to undertake such a search and a quest, and how to share the journey with the world. It is about finding, claiming, and loving the little girl of the backpack. Thank you.